Yeah, it's really pretty. See the water?
Yeah, how's the weather out there?
It's really it's like maybe like 60 something, 70, and it's breezy, and it just rained this morning. We have very weird weather.
Yeah, yeah.
Our weather's strange.
Yeah, but y'all lucky though, y'all got that good weather though. We on
Oh,
the
yeah,
East Coast.
people move here for that. Matter of
Yeah,
fact, let me come on here 'cause I think it's more the sun is more natural over here in this area. I'm gonna come over here. It's really pretty right here. You can see, yeah, right over here, and I have a clear shot of water too over here, right? Yeah, I think
well, I'm
it's
honored
more
and blessed because I've been following you for a while, so to have this opportunity is an honor to me because I noticed you're doing a lot of good things out there on the West Coast and all that. So like, just want to commend you for that.
thank you.
I don't screw this interview up, but hey,
Not gonna screw this interview up. Are you kidding? You wear many hats. You got it together.
I appreciate it.
I'm like,
So
I look at this, I'm like, God, that man is busy. Lord.
yeah, I'm trying to stay busy, keep you out of trouble. So I love music. I love the indie artists. I believe that people need to hear you all story and just like
Yes.
get in tune to what y'all are doing because we listen to the music, but we don't always hear the back end of the story. So my
No, I mean, nobody would believe all these deals that's been offered to me. I even had Universal Music call me up at home and offer me a deal when I was in my 30s. And so, I mean, I've had some really good opportunities, but they've been bad deals.
right,
And I was like, okay, do I become desperate and do this so I could be popular or do it and be broke? Or do I do it and be middle class and kinda have it my own way instead of somebody working me like a slave and making me miserable?
yeah, I
So,
agree.
I
I
mean,
mean,
you know, we'd have to talk about that because I think I'm in it's a whole lot I gotta tell you that about this even with a subsidiary company, a small subsidiary company that I'm with now, it's a lot. It's all about what you want, though.
right,
It's about what you want out of it, but, it is quite tricky. It's quite
yeah, I
tricky,
agree.
but I mean, I had parents that loved me. My dad had a good lawyer, and then my husband stepped right in where he was, and took over, and, I've been through a lot, seen a lot of foul things, had a lot of men hit on me and go there and, get out of line and just a whole lot of things.
Right,
But most of all, the contracts were just horrible. So, some people think that people don't hit it big like Whitney because they're a failure. That's not always the case. Sometimes sickness steps in. Sometimes the contracts are horrible. There's a lot of things involved with it
right,
that
yeah,
people don't know about. A lot of back
yeah.
end things that people don't know about.
Yeah. So what I'm about to start off with right now is I'm going to give everybody a rundown of who I'm talking to today, and then we're gonna dive into talking about contracts and stuff because I believe a lot of indie artists need to because you're out there, you've been in the game for a long time, and you're doing a lot of things.
Thank
So people need to hear what you're doing. So I'm gonna start off. So yo, what's up? What's going on, world? This is your boy. You tapping in with AD. We bring you the dope hosts, dope music, and the dope interviews. Today I got a powerhouse in the building. I'm talking about a professional worldwide recording artist, Grammy considered award-winning vocalist, actress, a militarian, a woman who has graced legendary stages from opera to orchestras, from film to global platforms. She's been featured on Korean's Best Defense Training on Netflix, performing at the iconic Hollywood Bowl, and worked alongside legends like Wonton Marcellus. I want to give it up for a friend, a humble artist, Miss Lettrice.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah,
It's
I'm
so
doing
good to
good.
be here with you, Adrian.
I appreciate it. You know, we've been knowing each other for a minute, and I said,
Oh, yeah.
since I got a platform to interview, let me bring the goat on. You know what I'm saying? Because I had a couple goats on here, so you know I'm doing good now. So we gonna start from the beginning. Who is Latrice Lawrence before the awards and before the spotlight?
Well, Imma tell you, I started singing when I was 4 years old, and I started playing the piano when I was 6, and I grew up in the church. I grew up in the church and singing gospel and so forth, and I just, I've been singing all my life, and I love music, and I've been creating my whole life, and, it's just wonderful. It's a wonderful experience. I enjoy performing for people and, letting God use me, whether it's gospel, whether it's R&B. I really enjoy myself. And, I'm grateful for everything that God has given me and the people in my path. Right now, I'm with a label. It's called Enthroned Records with Andre Pittman. And I have been working with Nichelle Bell. I know who you're
Okay,
very familiar with for a long time. She's done promotions for me. She, really good with suggestions and so forth. And so I have some really unique people in my life and circle that help me, with my career. And I have been singing opera for, I've been getting trained for 37 years. I just finished doing a show with the Afro American Chamber Music Society. And, it was really wonderful. And I enjoyed myself. And Janice White is the curator, and Vince Womack is the director. So I've been singing with them for 4 years, and we do wonderful pieces. Have you ever heard of Chevalier?
a little bit.
Yeah, violinist, composer. Well, the great thing about it was we got to do a piece, an opera called Ernestine, and it was quite wonderful. It was really wonderful. So I really was excited about it, and it's in French, by the way.
Nice.
But but the thing that's so great is that the Afro American Chamber Society Orchestra, they are, a black orchestra. They have sprinkles in between different races, but it's a black orchestra. The conductor is African American as well. The curator is African American, and of course, Chevalier, he was African American. So the wonderful thing was, I felt honored to be a part of a black opera and be the lead
Right.
of a black opera. I played Ernestine the Painter, and the opera was called Ernestine the Painter. And Christopher Craig was also the lead. He was, Clemingus, and there was a couple of other people, Rohan and a wonderful young lady named Talia. They played, parts in it as well, and so it was wonderful, and so I get to do that, but the great part is I'm with a label that doesn't put me in a box, and a lot of
Right.
times when you get with labels, they're like, "You're strictly gonna do R&B, you're strictly gonna do neo soul, you're strictly gonna do country, you're strictly gonna do gospel, or you're strictly going to do classical," or whatever genre it is. The blessing is that I do R&B, jazz, pop, blues, and gospel, but I'm also a classical artist.
Yeah.
So, with this label, it's not a huge label. I didn't sign on to get the big bonus pay
Right.
because there's a lot of tricks behind that. I'll explain that in a minute.
All right.
But I I own my music. I own the masters, and that's the thing. And sometimes when you get with larger labels, they own your masters, they own you, and you don't have control of your music at all.
Right.
And I had been in a situation where my music was held, and it was some problems, and I had to get a lawyer. And I really said to myself, I don't ever want to go through that again because it was a very emotional experience for me. And I separated from friends that I'd grown up with. Now, the wonderful thing was I was able to restore my friendship and continue my friendship with one of the people who was with the companies I was with. And we're still friends to this day, and we work
Right.
together because we love each other. But the other part of the company, I don't speak to them to this day. So you have to be very careful who you align yourself with and who you get involved with. I've been blessed because I've had some producers that are amazing, and I still have relationships with them, and I still work with them. I work with Walter Thompson. He's amazing. He's worked with Janet Jackson and been with J Records, and he's amazing. And we're about to come out with a song soon. We're dropping a song next
Oh, yeah.
month, as a matter of fact, a new single. And then I've worked with Smooth Soul, which is our production company, and we work with other artists. We do background vocals for their album. They arrange it for them, even if they want that, even write for them if they want that, because we do songwriting. But we create tracks and we
Right.
create music together. And so we've worked together and we've been doing that together for 16 years. And, Brandon Ford and Devin Shaw, they're like family. We're like this. We're very close. And they do a lot of my music with me. I write a lot of my own music
Mhm.
and play the piano on a lot of it, but they do that too. And so we just piggyback off of each other.
Right.
It's a blessing to have people like this in my life. I've been fortunate to have three good producers that I love dearly, and I just thank God for them. And so, you know, the wonderful thing is that we get to work with other artists. We've worked with Mari Nobre, and we've worked with her, and she's a artist now. She's a Spanish artist. If she's Italian, but she's a Spanish artist,
Right.
and she's with No Brazil, and we worked on that album. And we've worked with Elisa Gomez Taylor. She's the Afro Spanish artist, and we worked on her album. So we've worked with several people. And in this business, I've got a chance to work with Wynton Marsalis. I've worked with Barbara Streisand. I've worked with members of Earth, Wind, and Fire. I've just been blessed. I remember the boys. I've worked with
Mhm.
them back in the day. And so I've
Alright.
gotten a chance to be really blessed to work with some powerhouse people. And I used to write with Beach Studios. I write these Caucasian cats, and they were amazing. And so I did some ghost songwriting for years for them. And I've done quite a bit. And I'm with a group called the Episcopal Chorale Society.
Right.
And I sorry about that.
Oh, no
And
problem.
so I I work with them, and we go and we travel around the country. So I went to the Netherlands with them, and I went to sing, and we sang at this big cathedral, and we sung all over. We sung for refugees and met the mayor and of down there. It was just amazing. It was totally amazing. And then we went to Greece in 2024 to sing. And I mean, you could see the pillars of the first church
Right.
where Paul built, and you could see all these wonderful places that were historic. I mean, actually at the hotel and look out and see it. It was just phenomenal. And we went to 3 different islands,
Mhm.
and it was totally amazing. But the amazing part is you get to sing and you get to travel abroad and see beautiful places.
Right.
That's the thing that I love about it. So I'm going to be going to Malta in Europe
Nice.
in December. So I'm looking
Okay.
forward to that. I'm looking forward to that. So, you know, it's just exciting, and I've been working on the album for 2 years
Yeah.
quietly, and it has Afro beats, R&B, old school R&B, love music. And it has inspirational music as well, so I think
Right.
everybody's gonna love it. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, because I listened to some of your music and I was like, I like the versatility that you display because a lot of people can't do that. And, where did that come from, the versatility and just listening to all your accomplishments and things that you've done, what keeps you humble in the game and not to lose yourself?
Well, what keeps me humble is knowing that there's several people in the world that can sing. And, some people are full of themselves and they think, oh my God, I'm just bad at it. And the thing is, I tell everybody, come off the clouds. I've met some people and had some friends in the industry. Me and John Singleton were really good friends. I met him when he was at USC. I was at Mount St. Mary's, and we had a long lasting relationship. And he tried to help me. He wanted to help me with my music and everything. But unfortunately, I got sick. I got diagnosed with a rare muscular illness when I was 21, and it was like lupus and MS combined. And
Oh,
so I was bedridden, and I had Tyrese Gibson's his agent. He wanted to sign me as an actress and a singer, and Warner Brothers was after me and Sony, and it was very depressing. And I mean, and John was trying to help me, but when he found out that I was bedridden, it I couldn't do anything. And so,
right,
literally, I was out the game and bedridden pretty much off and on from the time I was 21 to my late 30s. And so, my late 30s, I went in remission and I started out doing events for KJLH, and they would spin my music on occasion. And then, I don't know, I just went on this whirlwind and just started performing with, I did this phenomenal show with called, it was like a gospel greatness, the Renaissance. And that was during the COVID season. And it was amazing because I got to do some things with some wonderful praise and worship leaders. One being Dietrich Haddon, Pastor Dietrich Haddon. And I was on the stage with Marquise Williams and some other, wonderful artists, really, really great artists, but they were wonderful praise and worship artists that are popular today.
right.
And so, we got a chance to do that during COVID, and it was amazing. And so, I'm thankful for my mom and dad because they were both ministers. So they kept me humble and prayer warriors, and they, were my spiritual leaders as well. They're now in heaven, but I thank God for them because they had me in various schools that were wonderful, that offered exposure to classical, and I had lessons very early, singing and playing the piano, and I was able to dive in different genres because I had an older brother that loved not only classical, but he loved rock. He loved the Beatles, he loved Aerosmith, he loved, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, and he
Mhm.
loved opera, and he loved the Philharmonic, and he exposed me to all those things, and he's 14 years older than me, and so I have 4 brothers, and so they all listen to oldies but goodies and
Yeah, right.
wonderful R&B and Gladys Knight. So I got a real background in Gladys Knight and Tina Turner and,
Mhm.
you know, Jennifer Holliday. These are people that I love. Karen Clark Sheard, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey. I'm more stylized though towards Phyllis Hyman
Yeah,
in my lower register, my chest register. I love Phyllis Hyman. I've performed her music at my shows. I performed at the Stuffed Potato, Catalina Bar and Grill. Right now, we're trying to get to a Blue Note. That's my next venture I want to do, the
okay.
Blue Note. And and I also like Angela Bofield
Oh, yeah.
because she had Spanish background, so she spoke fluently in Spanish, and that was her ethnicity. And then she had a rich R&B and disco, and you know,
Right.
and soulful. And so I sung also, I did a tribute show for her and it did a lot of my music as well. But I have to say, my favorite 2 people, Minnie Riperton.
Mhm.
I do the little whistling thing. I don't do it all the time, but I do it on occasion. I
Alright.
love Minnie Riperton and I love Leontine Price. Leontine Price is someone who I respect. She's very elegant, very, very poised and just her she speaks in all these languages fluently and it's so amazing. I speak in 6 different languages, but I don't talk about it very often because people are always like, "Let me hear you, let me hear you."
No, I ain't gonna do that. I mean,
But
you
French
did
is my favorite, French and, German and
French.
Italian. But I say that I still am a student. I'm still learning, still honing my gift, always remaining close to God and always keeping myself in check
Right,
because humility is to me is the key to success because when you're humble, you don't mind sharing the stage, you don't mind learning from the greats. You don't mind starting over even if you have to start over in areas. It keeps you it keeps you close to God and it keeps you rooted on the ground. So that's what I love about that. And so I constantly tell people if you get in this business, don't get in this business thinking you're going to be rich because it's not going to happen. Get in this business doing it because you love it
mhm,
and be able to afford the outfits, be able to afford the outfits, be able to afford the makeup, be able to afford everything because labels, when they do all that for you, there's catch-22s. I'm not
yeah,
talking bad about labels, but if you wanna be with a big label, you're gonna have to jump to the rhythm of what they want you to do.
right,
And if they're gonna supply the money and they're gonna do the advertising and all that, you're gonna have to do a lot. And a lot of times, a lot of artists don't understand that they end up paying for lawyers, studio time, even though it's their studio. They end up paying for studio time to pay the engineers. They end up paying for promotions. They end up paying for the wardrobes, the makeup, all of it. Even the tours when you go on the trips, all of it, and paying the musicians and the singers. And that's what people don't consider. And so I tell people, consider all that and see what percentage you're going to own of your music and how much of the money you're going to get.
mm,
Because after they get through doing all that, it's not a lot left.
right,
Sometimes 5%, 15%. So I tell people to consider all that because all these things are very important when you talk about a deal. So lots of people are going with subsidiary mom and pop labels or subsidiary labels that are smaller
right,
and doing it that way and keeping ownership of their music and making a deal where it's not so reflective of a 360 deal. It's more or less, you're a free agent, but you have a contract for a single
right,
for some months, and then, you have a certain amount of months and then it runs out. Those types of things. Lots of people do that because they feel like it's less of a risk doing it that way, and then the music still is their music, and they're able to own a lot of things, and instead of being beholding and then having to have, like, fantastic albums or be shelved. I've known people who have gone through that, people like Puff Johnson back in the '96 who was amazing, and she came out and was on the same label with Maxwell and Kenny Lattimore,
mm,
and they excelled in the business. It's a lot different for women. It's harder for women in the business. And Puff Johnson sang for Disney, and she did all these different things, and she had an album. I don't know if you remember, the single was called Forevermore.
mhm,
It was beautiful. They shelved that woman's album, and she got all this money up front, and it was a really bad situation because she got comfortable, got a beach home, got all this stuff, and it just didn't go right, and then she tried again with Epic, and they did the same thing to her. So I don't think a lot of artists know that you could get with labels and they'll shelf you, and they won't put your stuff out, and they'll change their mind and flip the script. That happens. So
yeah,
you have to know where you're going and where you're signing. Believe me, I wanted the whole Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey type of fairy tale
Yeah.
career. But if you look at them, they've been through hell,
Yeah.
both of them. And, Mariah was married to Tommy Mottola and was with Sony, and she had to break free from
Right.
them because they did her wrong. But thank God she had the money to pay it out, pay them off so she could get out of the deal. Some people don't have that option.
Right.
So these are some of the things that I've learned along the way. And I had the unfortunate experience of getting sick in the middle of being offered big deals. So I had to
Right.
be careful what I signed. Even a jazz label, Jadar Records, approached me. And as I told you earlier, Universal Music Group called me at home and offered me a deal. And I'm like, the percentages were wrong. Everything was wrong when I let the lawyers look at it. And I had to back away from it. And so the one thing I would say with Enthroned is that he never pressured me to eat celery sticks and carrots like some of these other labels. I had anorexia almost, trying to stay tiny
Right.
because they were saying that a size 8 was too big, and this so I went through a lot with a lot of these different people. And
Mhm.
so I never was told I couldn't sing, but I wanted to sing and I had to be in a box. He kind of let me do my thing. There still was some issues with control, but you're gonna have that when you get with any label, whether
Right.
it's subsidiary or big, a large company. But I have to say that I haven't had anything stolen from me, no music stolen from me, and I haven't been treated like complete dirt because you can be completely like serious dirt out there in
Yeah.
the big world with the big steppers.
Mhm.
So it's a lot of horror stories I have heard and a lot of things that I have been through and have had friends that have gone through things. So I'm grateful for my journey. And, some people, they would have gotten mad getting an illness like that and being debilitated like that. They would have been pissed off. And I was at first. I kept asking my parents, why? Why is this happening to me when all these opportunities are coming my way? But now that I look at it, I'm grateful for the things that I've gone through. I'm grateful for the hurdles. I'm grateful for the struggle.
Right.
The illness humbled me in a way where I know that I'm God's and I have to behave. Even when
Mhm.
sometimes when I don't want
Mhm.
to, I have to behave and I have to answer to him for things.
Yeah.
So I have to say that God has protected me throughout this journey. And I know at first everybody's like, oh, it's so unfortunate. You got sick and you couldn't yet say no to these deals. And some of them said no to you because they didn't want to take the risk. But I think all of it is a part of our individual journey, whatever God lays out for us. So I'm really grateful for the things that I've learned. And, I think I've matured vocally and spiritually, as a human. And I think that when you get a deal, a lot of these 19-year-olds don't know what they're doing. They have fiery tempers. They haven't matured. And, it's not good to get out there if you haven't matured
Mhm.
because you have to be mature and you have to have thick skin.
Right.
I had somebody tell me one time that was an investor. He's like, "You're not all that." He was like, "You're not all that. You're not that marketable. You may be a little cute, but you're not all that. There's other people look better than you." And I'm like, "Well, holy hell!" And then he
Right.
tells me,
Right.
"Now get on the stage and hit that whistling note. That's what you better do." And I'm like, "Oh no, he didn't." I was hot as fish grease, and believe me, I was younger, so it translated in the performance. And so I've had to learn no matter what goes wrong, no matter if the musicians are messing up, no
Mhm.
matter if the vendor, the person who is giving the event, the promoter, or the actual venue is making you angry, you have to get up and sing
Right.
and you have to give people your best. I've learned that. It's not fair for people to pay their money and you don't give them your best. So I've learned to get thicker skin because, you know, people can say anything to you. They can
Mhm.
tell you you're ugly right before you go on the stage, and you have to go right up. You have to go right on the stage
Yeah.
and act like it wasn't sent to you, you know? So, I'm just really grateful for the lessons, and I'm still learning. I'm still learning, still open to learning, and I'm so grateful and honored that you asked me on the show. I have such respect for you, Adrian. You know, it's a pleasure.
No, I appreciate it because these artists need to hear what you're talking about. Even
Yeah,
myself, I have a
yeah,
label. I tell them, like, "Don't put music out on Facebook, don't put music out unless it's copyrighted." I mean, I know you want people to hear your
yes.
music, and, people if I hear they like, "Oh, yeah, I heard this music," and then you like, is that my song?" But you ain't copyrighted, so
Hello, you will be
and then they mad.
listen, I remember I was in a studio that Ice Cube was recording at back in the day, and you're
Mhm.
gonna laugh. I was in my 20s. It was called Fat Rat Studio. And there was somebody else that was in there, I'm not gonna say who they were, but
Okay.
they were a disc jockey, and they heard a beat that I was using called Feeling Kinda Blue, and it had a snippet, a sample from the Mexicans, and do you know he grabbed that sample, and he grabbed my idea and used it for his radio show? And I was mad. I texted him. Sent him a message and told him, you kinda took my idea, which I think is foul,
Right.
because we were all in different studios, and, divisions of the studios. So I was like, "That's not cute to do something like that." He's like, "Well, just think of it this way. I have it on my morning show and my afternoon show, so that's gonna make you look good." And I had a lot of things I want to tell that man. But I just bit my tongue. I bit my tongue, but, that's the kind of stuff you gotta deal with. People can hear
Yeah.
your music playing in a big studio format in other divisions of a studio in the same complex and jack you for your music.
Right.
So you need to copyright it before you even record it in a lot of senses, and then tweak it when you finish it. But you
Right.
need to at least start the process of copywriting it because people will steal your ideas,
Mhm.
and it's not fun when you go through that. I've been through that a couple of times, but I learned after that. So I haven't
Alright.
had that problem anymore, but you gotta definitely be careful who you give your music
Yep.
to listen to, if it's not all the way copyright, all that.
Yeah.
So I agree
That's
with
how I
you.
am. I don't
Yeah, I agree with you.
if I get music, I ask them off the break, "Hey, before I put it in rotation, is it copyrighted?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Alright, okay." And we put it in rotation, and then we go from there. But I
Yeah,
wanna go back to because you have achieved a lot. And how did it
thank
feel
you.
like, to be Grammy considered and you won multiple awards? You had Hall of Fame recognitions. What moment made you stop and say, "This is real"?
You know, I thought about everything that I had gone through and the surgeries and the tears and the pain because like there's several artists that have dealt with things like that. Like,
Mhm.
you know, T-Boz from TLC, she has
Right.
sickle cell, and that's very painful. What I have has been very painful and it's been very stressful. And to to be in remission after going through that so many years and finally going into remission is a complete blessing. And I'm grateful for that. And when I submitted all of my help and they liked it, I was just like, "Oh, they like it." I
Mhm.
went back to being a little girl, like, "Oh, they like it. Are you kidding me?"
Right.
So when I found out that they really liked it and I was being considered, I thought to myself, "Oh my God, just being considered is such an honor because they didn't have to pick me. It was thousands,
Right.
millions of people sending stuff in." So I look back at it now and I'm like, "Oh my God, that's so amazing." And then I have to shout out and thank Robin Carmona for that. And I also have to thank Septimius the Great because they helped me with that. I didn't do that by myself. You have to
Right.
thank people when they look out for you.
Of course.
And they looked out for me in that area. And so I'm thankful for that. I have gotten enthroned record awards, and there's been wonderful people that's been up for consideration for these awards. the honeycomb. There's been people like, what's his name? HB Barnum. And now, for example, Verdine White from Earth, Wind and Fire, he's being
Mhm.
honored. So to be in a room like that and perform for people on that caliber and level of expertise is Janie Bradford. You know, she's done things for the Rolling Stones, songs for the Rolling Stones. To be in the same room and honored like that and get awards on that level with them, it with legends, Frida Payne, people like that. I have to say that's an honor.
Right.
To be able to rub elbows with people like Michael Collier and just, and Norwood Young, and it's just been a blessing. I have to say that I have some friends in my circle that are musicians that are absolutely phenomenal. Sherry Payne, so many wonderful people that, some of the members of the former Supremes. I look up to these people. They are just like uh legends in the business.
Right.
And they've been in this industry since the 50s and 60s. And, I've worked with people like Nat King Cole and have been with, all kinds of prolific artists. So I really thank God for that because that is amazing. And then the honors I've had from the city, from the mayor, the city of Los Angeles for my humanitarian work and for singing in the community. And KJLH giving me basically an honor from the city. It just, to me, blew me away. I mean, I knew I wanted to be a singer when I was 5
Right.
and I had big dreams. But the person who told me to manifest it was the incomparable Lena Horne. And I met her when I was 10. And I was at a school that was very serious about Blackness and about empowering young children. And
Mhm.
so we'd have Roots and the whole cast of Roots speaking to the kids, and Jesse Jackson, Reverend Jesse Jackson came and spoke to us. But the thing that stood out the most to me was when I went to see Lena Horne
Mhm.
at the what is it, the Wilshire Ebell Theater. She was there, and she had a contract, and some things opened up for her, and it was called Sophisticated Lady, and she came out in this beautiful blue dress. It was amazing, of course, handmade,
Yeah.
and she came out and sang Stormy Weather and all of her hits, and then I got to go backstage and meet her, and she asked me what did I wanna do when I grew up, and I said, "I wanna sing gospel, I wanna sing soul music, I wanna sing classical, I wanna sing country, I wanna sing love songs," and she's like, "Oh my god, you wanna do all that?" But the one thing she said was, "You can be anything you wanna be, honey."
Right.
She said, "You can be anything you dream to be, anything you wanna be." And I kept that in my spirit, in my heart for years after I met her. She was
Mm.
so beautiful and powerful. And she started understanding what she had to do for the movement and how important that was because of the prejudice that was involved and how she had to go through
Right.
kitchens and couldn't go through the lobbies and couldn't sit down in the audiences because they didn't want black people to
Yeah.
do that. They didn't want them in anywhere in public around other white people. So she was not only a legend, she was filled with history. And so that encouraged me. That encouraged me. And so when I get an award, I never take it for granted because I didn't have to get it. So every award I've gotten from Central Stars, from Enthroned, from being even looked at by the Grammys, to me, I take it and I put it in my heart and I store it there because it means the world to me because
Right.
it didn't have to happen. And
Mhm.
of course, I still want to be a household name. I don't want to be like Michael Jackson, and not be able to go out of my house. But I'm still working to be, on a level that's just fierce.
Yeah.
That's why I say you keep you keep building and you keep honing. It doesn't stop. It continues. And, and you continue to be humble and have humility and be kind and be grateful because people don't have to come and buy tickets to hear you or buy
True.
your music.
I
So,
agree.
yeah. So that's where I'm at with it. I try to do that every day. I try to remind myself of that, just to be a better person. And you know, and I've been fortunate enough. I've been on the Michael Collier show like 12 times.
Mhm.
I was like, he reminded me of it one day when I talked to him. He said, "Girl, do you know you been on the show 12 times?" So I think it's wonderful, to be able to say that he is my friend,
Right.
and he supports my music, and he thinks it's astounding that I do classical and other genres,
Right.
but I'm very grateful for meeting you and meeting people like Nads, because
Mhm.
you guys bring so many different things to the table,
Mhm.
and I learn different things from everybody,
Right.
and so I'm just grateful. And and Rory Dorvell, he had a station called Attention to Detail with Boss Man Cuddy, who's married to Tammy Mack from KJLH. He played my music a lot too. So I have to give him a shout out too, because he
Yeah.
played my music as well. And their, CJ Money Management Radio, they play my music, and so many different other people play my music. Gary Houston, so many different people. And I just
Mhm.
want to thank you publicly for giving me the opportunity to be heard, for being kind to me, and for you know, giving me that space, to grow because you didn't have to do it.
True.
So for you to play my music and treat me with such respect,
Right.
I just appreciate it. I appreciate it from my whole heart. I mean, DD Cohen from Memphis Matters, so many people I can name, Janice, Mavis, so many different people I can name that have just been fantastic to me.
Right.
And I just, DJ Lady Funk, I just so many people that have just given me open the door, DJ Chester Bully, to play my music and care about my music enough to share it with others. I think it's incredible. And I just pray for more. I pray for more. I pray for more local radio stations and popular radio stations to play my music more. And I just look forward to the rest of my career. Imma
Right.
sing till the wheels roll off.
Keep on doing it.
You know,
You need it.
that's what I plan to do. I told somebody I plan on singing it until my last breath.
Right.
That's real because God gave me the gift, and I wanna be His vessel. I really do. So it's
I
important.
like that.
Yeah.
So as we about to close out, where can your fans find you at? Where can they find your music? And do you have any projects or are you doing any touring that's coming up too, so they can know keep keep themselves abreast of what you're doing?
In the summer, I'm gonna be doing some concerts, and I'm definitely gonna share it. You can find me on Facebook, Lettrice Lawrence, Instagram, Lettrice L, TikTok, Lettrice Lawrence, and you can go to www.latricelawrence.com, and you can buy my music there, and you can see all the things I'm doing, and you can see videos. I'm on YouTube, so definitely subscribe, you guys, because I have all kind of different, videos from different venues I've done and everything. And yeah, you get my music there. My song is coming out next month, my single with Walter Thompson,
Okay.
and it's going to be incredible. And my album will probably be out early next year.
Okay.
It's going to be really amazing,
Looking forward to that.
and it's going to be really great. And, I am looking forward to it too, 'cause it's been a serious birthing situation with that. It takes a lot of focus when
Yeah.
you do an album, and you gotta get it right. You can throw something together if you want to, but it's better to
Yeah.
get it right and get it mastered right. That's what I've
Yeah.
learned. rushing, you can make several mistakes. So I've
Yeah.
definitely learned to take my time. So we've been working on it for 2 years, and I'm looking forward to letting everyone, the world hear it.
All
I'm
right.
looking forward to it.
All right. I appreciate it, and I really enjoyed this interview that we've took time to do.
Me
Um,
too.
I want y'all to listen. This is right here is what excellence sounds like: talent, discipline, purpose, and grace all in one. Shout out to Lettrice Lawrence for pulling up and blessing the platform. Make sure y'all tap into her music on all streaming platforms. Follow her journey. Stay locked in because she's just getting started. This is your boy AD from Indie Hard Pusher Independent Radio Show, where we bring the dope music and the dope interviews. And we out.
God bless you. Thank
I
you.
appreciate you.
All right. You have a good day. Okay.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Bless you.
Bless you too.